Hey, my name is Scott Marker, and this is another episode of Treasure Valley NIA QuickTips. And what they are is, I'm a franchise owner here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho, of Network in Action, which is a franchise based out of Houston. It's once a month professional networking groups I run, and I get to meet a lot of great local business owners, and that's how I came up with this podcast, because I like to bring them on and kind of get the word out for people. So today, why don't you introduce yourself, Tiffany?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany Williams. I'm the owner of Progress LLC. We're a Treasure Valley professional organization company.
Perfect. So now I've known you for a while. So
Yeah.
I think what you do is one of the best kept secrets. I really do, because it is so important what you do. And I've just never heard of another company that does it. So I know you're a professional organizer, but what the heck does that mean?
Sure. So there's lots of different companies that provide professional organization. We specialize in, of course, the hardest. We love to tackle the hard stuff. So the three categories that we really specialize in are paperwork organization for both individuals and small businesses. We also subcontract for CPAs if need be for paperwork organization. The second category that we specialize in is garage system installs, as well as garage organization. So going in, installing new systems. If you have a system that's been in your garage for 20 years and it's not really working very well for you, we can go in, tear it down, draw up some plans, put in a new organizational system, and then organize it afterwards by consolidation, as well as, boxes and labels and all of those things, making it a little bit more streamlined so you can actually park your car in the garage, which would be awesome for a lot of people. Yeah. And then the third is consolidation before moving. So if you're moving and selling your home, we can go in and help you consolidate items, so you're not paying to move something that you haven't actually used in 3 to 5 years. And then also helping you with removing clutter. So if you're planning on staying somewhere, but you really just feel overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that you have and would like someone professionally to come in and help you kind of identify things that you really enjoy, things that you love, things that your treasures that you'd like to keep, and then remove some things that are taking up too much space or causing you to feel overwhelmed in your home.
Yeah, I've lived here for 20 years.
Forever.
The house before was like 5 miles away, and I'm not kidding you. I could have used you, because I couldn't believe how much junk I had accumulated. And you're right. I mean, I had a crosstown movers to move the big stuff. This has been a lot of years ago. And have family members all came in and helped me. But I'm kidding you. We moved a ton of stuff that we should have thrown in the trash or done. We just didn't. We didn't have someone do the
a lot of
guidance.
times. Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times we'll actually identify things that, instead of just going straight to the dump, which we do coordinate with outside junk guys to come and pick it up and take it to the dump. But our first hope is that we can recycle it or give it to a local charity or another family member or family here in the Treasure Valley that could actually use the items that you no longer use. So just because you don't love it doesn't mean somebody else couldn't use it. And so, trying to keep things out of the landfill and give to other families that might actually still be able to use what it is that you no longer want. So we do coordinate. There are a couple of places here locally that will pick up furniture for donation. And then sometimes we just have to literally take donations down in order to get that out of your space. So.
That sounds great. So so you help people with the garages and all the organizations, and that part for me somewhat I kind of get that, I haven't heard a ton of people doing it. But then what about somebody that's I have a elderly parent, and she's thinking about downsizing. But she's lived at the same house for 40 years. How do you help someone in that situation?
So it depends on if you mean just overall removing of items, or if you mean specifically paperwork, or we could actually do both. So I actually was talking at the Boise Senior Center last week. I do a lot of speeches for seniors, educational outreach. And so it can be multifold. Sometimes when you've been living in a house for 40 years, you may just have accumulation and there's just never gotten around to taking care of things that you no longer need. So we go in small sections at a time. The more time we have before the move is the easiest and the best, because some things, especially if there are a lot of sentimental items, it's taxing. It takes a lot of energy to identify what you for sure want to keep and what you don't. So let's say you're moving from a 1,300 square foot house into a senior assisted living that's 700 square feet. So let's see what you like to keep and what actually would fit in your new space. And then we can decide what you'd like to keep, where it should go. If it doesn't fit, then working with outside providers to get it donated. But sometimes you'll go through in the consolidation and things, you would be surprised when you start identifying things that you haven't used forever, how much, what you would actually take kind of is a smaller than you might imagine.
Right.
Same for paperwork. I had a client that I worked with last month, and I was helping her shred checks back to the 1980s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So sometimes you just don't realize that you have as much as you have. And we ended up going through, I believe, like 4 full, 6-foot file cabinets. And so if she were to move to assisted living tomorrow, those are things that she no longer really needs.
Wow.
And furthermore, identifying the things that are really important that belong in a safe. So that's the very first thing that without a doubt definitely needs to come with her wherever she's going.
And real quick, what about parents downsizing like that?
Yeah.
You might have some kids involved, right? Do you kind of work with them, like maybe a daughter-in-law come over and kind of help you wade through everything?
I do, but the most important part is whether let's say for instance the daughter is helping the mother relocate to a senior living facility. Even if the daughter is the client and is the one that's paying for me, I need to make sure that the mom's on board, because I don't want to force someone to consolidate things if they're not ready. It's not it doesn't affect if it doesn't work. But yes, if you have
I can just see some, son, daughter-in-law, daughter wanting to kind of go, you're going to go do that, but going, geez, they want to be there to make sure that their parent kind of realizes that, no, you're not going to donate that, or yes, you do need to donate that.
Right. And we definitely, what we'll do is we kind of set things aside by category. So if the family member is there and they're identifying things that need to be given to other family members that don't live in the home, what we can do is tag it or put it in separate areas for this individual, that individual. Then we set aside things that need to be recycled. We set aside things that need to be taken and donated. We set aside things. And once everything is together, then we call the junk guy. So we can definitely do that in conjunction with family members. I just always need to make sure that whoever it is that we're helping consolidate is not kicking and screaming. We definitely want them to have buy-in for that, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's go back to the accounting situation.
Yes.
You've told me before, but tell the listeners, like, what's a good example of where you can help out an accountant with a client?
Yeah. So for CPAs, a great example would be a small business that you're taking care of, or let's say you have a family that's a long form and they just bring in a box of receipts or a box of paperwork, or they haven't filled out their taxes in 2 years and they're just dumping everything for you. So that would be a perfect example of a CPA could subcontract us. We could go in, take all of the documentation, organize it in the way that they need to file it. So if you give me specific categories of how you would file this person's individual taxes or business taxes, we can actually make sure that they're categorized enough for you to start their taxes, but is not so categorized that, we went overboard.
Right.
So that's one of the ways that we can help CPAs, either by individuals that just have a lot of things, annuities, and all kinds of investments. And let's say they do a lot of crypto exchanges, and we need to have lots of documentation for that. But they show up 5 minutes before their taxes are supposed to be filed, and you don't have enough time to do that. You can subcontract us to go in, get all of that prepared and ready to go for you, so that you can either do data entry into whatever sort of tax system you're going to do, or you can just start with what we've given you.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before too, because actually we just talked to a bookkeeping and a tax company the other day that said just that. They get new clients, they haven't done their taxes for years.
Right.
I just think that, especially if you have somebody that keeps doing it year after year after year, or even just the first time out, it'd be a heck of a lot less expensive and more effective to have someone like you do it that specialize in it than an accountant digging through receipts when they should be like doing taxes.
Right, for sure. And if you think about it, if somebody is chronically disorganized, where else is that presenting, right? So does that mean that they're behind on bills? And sometimes, the range of organization can be very simple. Let's go in and get this tidied up for you. Let's set up a different workspace that's a little bit more functional, that has some systems that work better for you. But sometimes we offer comprehensive, and when you go in and kind of do auditing and look at the bigger picture and the things that may be missing, or the things that are needed, or mail that hasn't been opened in months, and then you have bills that are behind. And a client of mine, last month, we got around to some documentation that she hadn't addressed yet. And a month before, she had gotten a letter from a bank saying that somebody had tried to open up a bank account through them, and that they had denied it. And so we actually called together and found out that somebody had her social security number and was trying to open up either a credit card or a bank account with her information. So then we had to turn around and call the credit bureau, and she had to freeze everything, and we had to make sure. And then, of course, in that auditing process, we found some fraudulent charges that were definitely not hers, and some overbilling. And so sometimes it's just, organization, and sometimes it's really problem solving. It's auditing, it's going in to make sure that, because once you kind of open the can of worms, other things, especially if you haven't addressed it for a while, might show up that do need to be addressed, so that from here on out, things are looking better for you, if you will.
Yeah. We're wrapping it up here. I want to end on one thing here. You said something, and I think it's so true, is why do a lot of people that need your help don't use you? Because they're embarrassed.
Right.
And they don't need to be embarrassed.
or to be honest, they're just overwhelmed. I mean, if you think about it right now, right, everything, as COVID aside, but adding COVID on top of things, the last couple of years have been really difficult. And so when you have, only 24 hours in the day, and you have 50 hours worth of tasks that you feel like you have to do every day, it seems like you never quite get to all the things that you need to do. And then you get so overwhelmed that you just feel stuck and paralyzed, because how do you start, right?
Right.
And so, really, the first step is sometimes by far the hardest, calling and saying, hey, I need some help, reaching out and saying, hey, I need some help. It is difficult, but once you start to get little steps and see some progress and improvement, and then sometimes, depending on the level of auditing, specifically for paperwork or for being overwhelmed by clutter and consolidation, it's very apparent after a little while of how much of a difference it makes in your life. Yeah. And so that's really the most amazing part of the areas that we work on, is it really can be transformative. I'm not saying that a beautiful pantry is not great, because it is, and a beautiful closet is awesome. But I mean, to see paperwork and some of the things where people go from -100 to really being on top of everything, it is really amazing. It really is. And so, but it's the first step of just saying, hey, I need some help. I'm not really sure how to do this. What I've been trying so far hasn't worked. And so we come in and try to give some additional and alternative systems. Maybe, the way you think about things is a little bit different than what traditional organization would be. So let's try some different strategies. Let's try to make things a little bit more streamlined, and we tweak it until, over time, it's really worked well for you and it's easy for you to maintain.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. So, hey, Tiffany, how you and your team, how would someone reach out to you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
So you could either give a call or you could shoot us an email. I think my email is listed here, but it's info@progressid.com. So Progress ID is in Idaho.com.
What's the best phone number?
It's 208-994-3168. That's the best way to reach us.
Okay.
And typically what we'll do is just do a free phone call with you and kind of discuss with you the needs that you have, what you're hoping for, see if there's a way that we can help you. And then we come out to your home and actually do a consultation. Look, do we need to do measurements? Do we need to see what it is that you need help with? Are there multiple areas that you need help with? And come up with a game plan. Typically what we'll do, because you just never really know when you're getting into things exactly how long it's going to take for time, we go by packages. So your package might be 8 hours, or a typical garage might be 10 to 20 hours. So we'll do a package and get to work and set up a time that works best for us and for you, and get the process started.
Perfect. Oh yeah.
And I was just going to say, and strangely enough, for some reason, once you make that appointment, I have seen people literally just feel like relief coming off, like we were talking about before, because they know that there is, light at the end of the tunnel. There is progress, if you will, on its way, Yep.
That's awesome. Like I said, I really think what you do is really needed. So awesome.
Thanks,
hey, appreciate it, Tiffany.
I appreciate it.
And like I said, I'll make sure in the show notes, put it in for you. So, hey, thanks everybody. If you have any questions, please reach out to Tiffany. And that's another episode of Treasure Valley NIA QuickTips. Thanks everybody.
Hi, thank you.